Houston, our instruments are showing that we have a incoming message from deep space. Repeat, Houston, we have an incoming message from deep space. Houston, we'll begin playing message now. Houston, we're going to try and translate that up here. Hold for translation. Translation complete. We'll begin playing message now.
Hey, it's me, Melissa.
What do you do when the aliens invade? Take a shot of MK Ultra and watch Melissa Jade. Put on your tinfoil hat and tune right in. We got that crime spree, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, a complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what are dolphins understanding? It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Aliens is on the sun or in Area 51. Time travels, unravels, haunted castles, cops are baffled, potential experimental thoughts that make you transcendental. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Crime sprees, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects of mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all that's understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Nicole. I know, right, Nicole? That was interesting. Hi, Angie, Shacto, Natasha, Kimberly, peace, love, and pugs. Yep. Today's Oscar goes to Leilani Simon for crying on cue and overreacting. Hey, Shay.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hi, Julie, Harlot, Frigates and Chiggles, same as Queen Bella, Petunia, Grace on Wheels, Harley Quinn, Aries Girl, Miss Buckeye. Dude, hey, Remy, Cutie Pie, eat it. Okay. Neat Noodle. Yes, same as, yes. Two Finger McGillicuddy. That's interesting name. Thanks, Elvin, for being a member for 3 months. So glad I found you. Looking forward to many more. You're so sweet. Hey, Keith. And I think I saw, yep, all the way up here. Welcome, Jerry Lynn Lonita. Megzy, it's been forever. Dude, the audio in this, not only the court, I can't hear anything the prosecutor is saying. And even because on day 2, and obviously we're going to get into all of it, but these recordings and interviews of Leilani, I can't even hear what the guy is saying. Like, wait. Okay, yeah. Hi, the real deets. I can't, right, Remy? Hi, Pointer Lover. I can't hear anything, and it's really aggravating.
I feel you.
It's like I can't, all morning I couldn't hear what the prosecutor was asking. And I had my volume all the way up. I couldn't hear anything. And then even in this hours we're watching this interview, and she's over the top. Leilani is over the top and loud. But then the other guy, I'm literally like, my ear was to my speaker and I'm like, what is he asking her? Because I'm watching her reactions, but I don't know what he's saying.
I mean, I do think that the court TV feed was better on the audio today. But you're right. It's the in courtroom audio visual and what we're hearing from that interview. It's kind of muffled, and she is hysterical. And it's
Yeah.
like I can listen to things like on 2x speed, like, and I will catch every detail. That's just how my brain works, like ADHD brain. I have to listen to her on normal because even with closed caption on, it's like not it's not computing. It's just all over
Yeah.
the place.
And thank you, Edith, for being a member for 3 months. Scott says, if they ever make trial streaming awards, the Outstanding Audio Production Award needs to be named after El Paso County, Colorado, because no trial has sounded that good before or since. I agree. Yeah, PB&J, you needed earbuds to hear. Hi, Chopper. Thanks. Point a lover for 2 freaking years. It's fabulous. Hey, Neat Noodle, did you bring any licorice? Are you going to share? Just asking. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll have to wear it with earbuds, but and then, yeah, there was wailing, sniffling. There was a lot going on, but all right, we'll get into all of it. We're going to do like yesterday and today and kind of like go through what our thoughts are, and stuff. But before we even get started, our missing child for tonight's live stream is Mercedes Dilbeck. Mercedes has been missing since August 12th, 2024 from Wichita, Kansas. She is 15 years old.
Aw.
Cutie. I know, she's very pretty. So if you or anyone you know has information on Mercedes' whereabouts, please contact the Wichita Police Department at 1-316-268-4221. Okay, so has everybody... so many boogers. Hi, Tony. The worst on earbuds. You turned up and that's what, and I knew that was going to happen if I even tried with earbuds, because Leilani is screaming and at least the recordings we were just watching. But then the other guy, I was like, I really could not make out anything he was saying. It was really bad. Hey, Adrian. Hi, Fragilica Bomb. Hi,
Oh,
Kasha.
hey, Kasha. Well, hopefully, after everything wraps up, we can get the case file and we can hear it better. But maybe they're doing us a bit of a favor, because if they turned it up any louder, our eardrums would burst.
No, because it wasn't Shay. It wasn't just, it sounded like it was a recording of a recording, because I swear I had to look up at my TV multiple times and I'm like, am I hearing someone's breathing? And I'll show you guys like when I get to a clip, but like it's, you could hear like, you know, like really,
Right.
and then their talking is in the background and I'm like, what is this?
Well, I think we also had the pleasure of, due to due to the last few years, they've had like Zoom, like court cases and like hearings, so that audio filters through. And in this case, like, yeah, they're just recording a TV. It's nuts.
Yeah. Did you, Callie Nurse? I thought I was going crazy because I was like, what is that? Like that was the prominent sound before I heard anything else. And it was consistent. And I felt like I was going crazy. And no, Leilani did not get the Hi, Daniel. All right. So yesterday I like it's a really weird feeling, like watching and following a case as it happens in real time, and then to finally see it get to the courtroom and to find out some of these answers that we've been waiting for. But I have not been able to get the image of his remains out of my mind. We knew it was going to be bad, but like it's just so sad. But I think the fact that they started out day one with that, they wanted to make sure it is prominent and in the jurors' minds.
Yeah.
And the sniffling, right? The constant sniffling. So yesterday, there was a couple of people up on the stand, mostly detectives, who showed up first on scene. One thing that, and immediately I kind of was,
Wait. What did you think of opening statements? Hold on.
Long, at least.
I love the timeline. I'm like, thank you for a timeline.
The timeline was great. I love a visual. The visual was great, except Bendy cracked me up because she was like, yo, if they need to know if the prosecutor needs help in the future with like CapCut or something, because you could tell like they removed the background of these photos and they weren't done the best way. But it was funny when it's that. But no, it was long, but it was, And I think the comparison between the prosecution versus the defense opening statements shows prosecution has the truth on their side, in my opinion, and they have the evidence. Defense, where are you going? Because you didn't, all defense said was basically all they have is rumors and speculation and everything that's been thrown out in the media. Yet it's like, no, tell us what. I was expecting to hear, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, like the prosecution just put forward, like their scenario, but this is not an evil woman sitting in front of you. Like, this is a young girl who made a bad choice, an accident happened, and then poor choices followed. That's not what we got, though. We don't even know where the defense is really going with this.
I mean, I kind of thought going into it they were gonna take a bit of a page out of like Jose Baez and like just let this be like a you don't really know what happened kind of thing here
Mm-hmm.
and you can't prove it. But I felt with the way that the prosecution laid out the timeline and talked through the key people that were in the vicinity, what was happening, even showing in the very beginning, like for instance, like Danny running in his work across the warehouse, and some witness testimony of Danny's reactions, which I'm assuming we're going to hear later on. I thought that they did very well at trying to eliminate some of the reasonable doubt, but I do think that the I think the defense is going to try to blame shift to Danny.
They absolutely are. And you could tell prosecution has the heads up because they are making sure to circle it back around constantly to Danny not having any involvement. And this bothers me. And it bothers me because, and I mentioned this, on Bendy's, but I was like, this blaming of Danny started long before trial. I know that voices beyond the wall, like Cher, who, God, this case was a circus. The YouTube was a circus surrounding this case back then, but she's opened that door, and I've heard her mention specifically, like the idea that Danny could have had involvement. I don't like that. Like, the evidence is going to be what it is. If he had any involvement, trust and believe we'll find out about it, but why would you think that he would have any involvement and they're just going to be okay with it? They're going to look the other way. No, that's ridiculous. And we speculated that Danny was working and cooperating with police very early on, very, because he went MIA, they separated, and we didn't hear a word from him. And now we find out that that's exactly what's going to happen. And I expect full on Al Stout with these pretext calls, maybe not to the extent of Letitia, but these recorded calls, which is going to screw Leilani because, and we're going to get into that damn virtual suicide letter because it pissed me off. But one major thing I was able to take away from it was your mentality is this guy, is your love life. But it pissed me off because on day 2, what I just finished listening to is Leilani scream that she would never choose a guy over her kids. Yet, ma'am, your own virtual suicide letter, which obviously you didn't end up in the lake, but it was apparent all you cared about was, I guarantee she sent that to who? To Danny, right? You sent that to Danny. You wanted the reaction, and your kids were an afterthought. I hate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think she's had a very troubled life, and her comfort is in another man's love. And I mean, I'm not going to say that's why she has like, different, fathers to her children, but it's multiple relationships that she's looking for connection. And if you remember, like rumor had it like early on, they said that Quentin's daddy Bubba wanted her to terminate the pregnancy. Well, I've always had a side eye to that. I actually was like, even if he knew, what if he knew she was up to no good doing a lot of bad substances and he worried about the baby's health? It was early on. We have no idea. There's so much we still don't know right now. And I think it's just kind of like all like flooding in.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we do know that Zane was exposed to drugs in utero. Sky was exposed to
And
drugs in
Quinn.
utero. Well, we never got the word, at least in that the documents I pulled up. Hold on, I'll do it again real quick, because Quentin was born in another state, and so it didn't clarify. But are we supposed to believe firstborn, thirdborn were exposed to drugs in utero, but middle child wasn't? And go ahead.
And I mean, she had the burglary charges when she was with Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bubba had moved on, and I think was he married or engaged by the time a lot of this stuff had transpired with Quentin.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that she's always seeking a man's love, and she put it above her own children.
I agree. And so just like a little recap for anybody who may not remember from back in the day. And we'll kind of like, I'll pull up like day 1, day 2, and I'll just kind of use it as a visual to remind us like chronologically what they pulled up, and we could discuss it. But Billy Joe, there was a kinship agreement. Okay. Billy Joe had Zane and Quentin. Okay. Billy Joe and Leilani had just gotten into an altercation right before Quentin's death. There is a police report that corresponds it. I have to find it. I deleted everything and I have to go back and find it to pull it up for you guys, but I will. Leilani was just ordered to start paying child support for Zane and Quentin 1 week exactly prior to Quentin's death. Okay. His murder. Zane and Sky were exposed to drugs in utero. It pulls up the whole question is how, all right, if we want to have the mentality that because Billy Joe stepped up and there was a kinship agreement, that's why DCFS may not have been involved regarding Quentin and Zane, but with Sky, and Sky was only a couple of months old at the time of Quentin's murder. How in the world were they not involved? Were they not doing random UAs? We're not doing home visits, parenting classes, all of those things. But Leilani and Danny had to leave. They were thrown out. They were in the process of getting evicted from Billy Joe. Okay, so you guys gotta keep all of this in mind as factors in Leilani's mentality at the time that she committed this crime. Oh, thanks, Jeannie. Pussy cream. So here, I just want to read this real quick for anybody. I pulled it up yesterday on Betty's stream, but for anybody who may not have seen it, this was in the interest of Zane and Sky, and this is an amended order transferring temporary legal custody following authorization for removal. So both Zane and Sky, and this is prior to Quentin's remains being found, law enforcement removed the above referenced children from their home on October 12th, 2022 at approximately 6:30 p.m. and an officer of this court authorized the removal of the children from the home and the placement of the children in foster care because the children were in imminent danger of abuse or neglect if they remained in that home. Thank you so much, Tess. It feels right to be here discussing everything with you. We were here every single day watching this unfolding. Love you both. Justice for Quentin. Thanks, Tess. You cutie.
And I think okay.
No,
I was like, it's the court. It's the hearing they have. Wait, no, is it? Yeah, it's this hearing they had a gag order on, right? Because they had the guy's fathers there. They had to do the paternity test, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And placement, of the children. Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Ask me about my butthole.
Oh, lovely. I did put the link to an article that has the September incident report that you were speaking about with Leilani and Billy Joe in the back.
You.
It's like one of those weird ones that you scroll within the page, so I don't know how much you're gonna love it, but it's the best version I could find.
It helps. It definitely helps for people, like, just to refresh our memories, number one, but people who may not remember going all the way back then. And these are all major factors, in my opinion. And hi, Mo and Co. Hi, Crichton. So this then says removal of the children from the custodian was and remains necessary to safeguard the children's welfare. Continuation of the children in the home and or returning the children to the home would be contrary to the welfare of the children, and removal of the children is in their best interest because a voluntary kinship agreement with relatives became insufficient to ensure the safety and welfare of the children during a child death investigation. The children's sibling Quentin was reported missing on October 5th. Based upon information obtained in the course of its missing child investigation on October 12th, law enforcement notified DCFS and the family that it was proceeding with a child death investigation. The children and the sibling were living in a home with the mother, the youngkin father, and the maternal grandmother prior to the siblings' disappearance. The mother, which is Leilani, is a primary subject of the death investigation, and other household members, as well as relatives, continue to be investigated for protective capacity. The mother, Leilani, is a chronic, unrehabilitated substance abuser of cocaine and cannabis. She screened positive for and admitted use of cocaine and THC at the birth of the child Sky. Again, Sky was only a couple months old at the time of Quentin's death. She has continued to screen positive for cocaine. The mother has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder, for which she has not been receiving ongoing mental health treatment. The maternal grandmother, which is Billy Joe, has a permanent guardianship order as to the child Zane, pursuant to documents from the juvenile court of Burke County. That order would have included Quentin. The maternal grandmother, Billy Joe, failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home in the care of the mother, a person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. So remember, she was supposed to be gone for 2 to 3 weeks, but she wasn't.
3 weeks.
Right. Leilani wasn't supposed to be in the house alone. She had her brother, Daniel, and they had the babysitter down the street. The Georgia Department of Human Services, through the Chatham County Department of Family and Children Services, made reasonable efforts to prevent the removal of the children from the home and to make it possible for the children to return home, including consulting with law enforcement, utilizing a voluntary kinship care agreement during the missing child investigation, attempting to verify the maternal grandmother's claim to permanent guardianship of the child Zane and the sibling Quentin, confirming with the Cherokee Nation that the children do not qualify as Indian children pursuant to the Indian Child Welfare Act, reviewing Child Protective Services history from other counties, as well as an ongoing family preservation services case, previously providing the mother with substance abuse rehabilitation treatment following in utero drug exposure of the child Zane, providing an updated substance abuse assessment and rehabilitation treatment following in utero drug exposure of the child Sky, and requesting drug screening of the mother. So it's hereby ordered to protect the children, temporary legal custody of the above referenced children can be transferred to the Department of Human Services through the Chatham County Department of Family and Children Services pending further order of the court. And this preliminary hearing was held on October 17, 2022. So keep that little nugget in the back of your mind. This is, again, another case where I think DCFS dropped the ball. I understand they're understaffed, overworked, underpaid. I get it, but something has to change here.
Absolutely.
So let me pull up this.
I put 2 links. So
thank you.
a long history with this family.
So this says record shed light on missing toddler's family. So they haven't released much, but police and court records paint a picture of tense and divided home in the weeks leading up to his disappearance. We know that Quentin was living at his grandmother's home off Buckhalter Road with his mother, her boyfriend, and 2 siblings. Quentin's grandmother, Billie Jo, had sole custody of the toddler and his oldest sibling. So this was the police report from September 7th, okay? So just a couple of weeks before Quentin's murder. And we have a simple battery and family violence police report. There were no children involved, it's marked, but there were children present. We have, let's see.
I think this is the one where they fight over, like, when she was doing laundry.
That's
Billy,
correct.
oh, yeah.
And it was after this that Billie Jo's like, you have to leave. Like, I have
Eviction.
to get them out of the house. Correct. So this says on Wednesday, September 7th. Okay, so it's less than a month, guys. On Wednesday, September 7th at approximately 16:07 hours, I responded to a call for a domestic dispute at 535 Buckhalter Road. Upon my arrival, I made contact with the complainant, identified as Leilani Simon. Leilani said her and her mother had an altercation regarding some clothes that were in the wash. Leilani said she removed her clothes so that her mother could use the washer. Leilani said they had a disagreement verbally about how things were, and she said her mother got in her face and shoved her. Leilani said she hit a wall and felt that her elbow was red from the wall. Leilani said her 2 kids were around and said she called to put a stop to the issues between her and her mom, as she said she did not want her kids around that. Leilani's elbow was red, however, there were no signs of bruising. I made contact with the mother, identified as Billie Howell. Miss Howell said she was having issues with her daughter, as she said she wanted to use her washer and it was in use. Billie Jo said she was frustrated as she takes care of the household and pays all of the bills. Billie Jo said her daughter lives there, 2 kids, and the daughter's boyfriend. Billie Jo said she got in an argument with her daughter Leilani and said after her daughter screamed at the top of her lungs in her face, she shoved her. Leilani said she was on probation and did not want the conflict to escalate and said that's why she called. Leilani said she did not want her mother to face charges. Leilani was advised she could go to the courthouse and attempt to get warrants taken out if she wished. Leilani said she understood. Billie Jo's son came to pick her up to remove her from the situation. Billie Jo agreed to separate from the situation for some time to avoid conflict. Billie Jo said she may have to evict them, which that is indeed what was in the process of happening. Billie Jo's son advised that his mother was tired, as he said Leilani has a history of stealing from Billie Jo and buying drugs with that money, and says the problem goes very far back. Billie Jo left the scene with her son for at least a few days. Now pause. This is concerning again, though, because where were Zane and Quentin during those few days? How often were they being left with Leilani? I guess technically somebody else in the house, but not if, I don't know, not if her brother was with his mom for a few, I don't know, man.
Yeah. It's disturbing.
It is. So then the very next day, September 8th, Billie Jo followed through and filed the paperwork to evict Leilani and Danny. So it's written here. Personally appeared Billie Jo Howell, plaintiff, who upon oath says that he or she is the owner of the subject premises indicated above, and the defendant is in possession as tenant of said premises in Chatham County. Affiant declares under the penalty of perjury that the defendant is not able to determine if defendant is a member of the armed forces. No, is not a member of the, I'm not sure. It's wait, defendant is or is not. It looks like it would be is. Okay.
It's is not. That's checking is not. You gotta check which one.
Why is there 3 to
Because
check?
the
though?
other one is plaintiff is unable to determine. So
Okay.
see how it's like one of each option they're
Oh,
giving you
okay,
there.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it says that this affidavit is executed pursuant to the Soldiers and Sailors Civil Relief Act as required before any judgment in default may be entered by the court. Any person who shall make an affidavit required under this section or statement, declaration, verification, or certificate certified or declared to be true under penalty of perjury, knowing it to be false, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and shall be punished by imprisonment not to exceed 1 year or by fine not to exceed 10,000 or both. Affiant further states on oath. Billy Joe said that the tenant fails to pay rent now due thereon. Billy Joe said that the tenant, Leilani, is holding said premises over and beyond the term for which the same were rented or leased. Billy Joe declares that the tenant is a tenant at sufferance and tenant at will. Billy Joe said that the tenant has violated the terms of the lease by not looking to be compensated. She just wants them to move out as quick as possible. My daughter, Leilani, 22 years old, with her boyfriend and 3 kids. They have damaged my property, and at this point, no one is living in peace. The plaintiff desires and has demanded possession of said premises, and the same has been refused by said defendant. This affidavit is made seeking that a warrant shall issue for the removal of said defendant together with the defendant's property from said premises. So, plaintiff demands possession of the premises, past due rent of $0 plus $74.60 as court costs, and rent occurring up to the date of judgment of vacancy. And then you could see Billy Joe Howell. So between this, the physical arguments that are going on, eviction is filed, and then you are ordered to pay child support 1 week prior to Quentin's murder. Are we going to pretend that these aren't here? And here we are. Default order for paternity of child support. 21st day of September. Leilani Simon, defendant, having been lawfully served and having not appeared. So she didn't even appear. So Leilani shall notify. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, it goes back to back because the 26th is when she receives the eviction notice. And then right after that, that's when the child support stuff starts. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And this is thank you so much for this site because it had everything and I couldn't find it. To be fair, I didn't look Google. I looked in my phone. Like I couldn't find my old screenshot.
No,
Should have
me
just
too.
looked on Google.
I know I was digging too. I found some good stuff, but there was still a lot out there that has been added. So it was nice to see both.
So essentially it is further ordered. Let me see. Paternity testing is being done, but it had already previously been established. The defendant is the biological mother. So the defendant is the mother. We have Quentin, we have Zane. Incoming guidelines. Income was imputed of the following persons, mother and father. So the court finds that the above persons is and are capable of earning at least minimum wage. The court finds that the monthly gross income of the father is $1,257 and the monthly gross income of the mother is $1,257. So according to the calculation, mom and dad are going to split it 50-50. So Leilani shall pay $150 per month as current support for 2 children starting on November 1st, which I'm sorry, that's the minimum. That's the minimum. And that's insane. $150 for 2 kids per month. That's $75 a child a month. Okay.
I know.
And it said, yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
I was like, I don't want to skip ahead, but just like I was just thinking, like going back and listening to some of the babysitter Diana's interviews, and I told you like the first one she had was Ziggy, was interesting because she discussed like just how much she charged, but also in times where like she like allegedly um Leilani, like they would pay and then they would ask for the money back because they said they needed
Mhm.
to buy diapers and formula. And it was just, I don't know, it just seems like Billy Joe was like, I'm not gonna enable this. You gotta grow up.
Right. Well, Lisa, I don't think she was kicking Zane and Quentin out. I think she was saying in the eviction notice that all three kids live with me. And well, I know, but she said and the kids, and I remember that was a topic of debate back in the day. But I don't know if she meant the kids too. But look at this part because this is what stood out to all of us. Ready? When there is or are only one child for whom child support is owed, the defendant shall pay only $100 per month, beginning on the due date of the next child support payment. So if one child is no longer in the picture, it will go from $150 to only $100 a month. Hey, Bogart. Not yet, Dirty, where we were kind of going over what we already knew and kind of jumping in now to the next 2 days. That's crazy. Yeah. And she wasn't asking for any past due, made effective immediately, and it was going to start November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that went down. There's a lot that freaking went down leading up to Quentin's murder. Okay. It's 13% for one Shacto, 25% for two. So exactly.
I know you probably don't want to jump ahead, but that other article, because this won't be brought up, I don't think it'll be brought up in the hearing because it's about the other children. But it is interesting because it talks about what attempts were made to regain custody of the
You like
surviving children. Yeah, pull it up
you read it.
because
You read
you want
this
me to?
one.
Okay.
Yeah. Give us
Okay.
the scoop with it. I haven't seen this.
Okay. So the mother of Leilani Simon, Billy Joe Howell, is petitioning for custody of Simon's surviving children. So this was in March of this year, guys.
Mhm.
And his death was October 5th, 2022, that we know of. So Simon's 20-month-old son, Quentin Simon, is reported missing by his mother on October 5th, 2022, after a 6-week search. Remains belonging to the toddler were found in a Chatham County landfill, which led to Simon being arrested and charged with her son's murder. According to court records, Hal, which is her mom, filed a petition for child custody at the end of March of this year. The defendants listed are Simon and the fathers of the other two children. This comes after a report led by Senator John Ossoff titled Abuse and Neglect of Children in Georgia's Foster Care System, listed Quentin Simon as a child death that may have been prevented if it weren't for mismanagement in the Georgia foster care system. Leilani Simon appeared in the first motion hearing for this year of the murder of her son's case on March 26th. This was a routine hearing. So they're not going to release much more. Everything else is going to be sealed at that point. They made that very clear in the October 12th hearing that you initially went over after Quentin's disappearance of what would happen with Sky and Zane. So I just thought it was interesting. I know that Billy loved the kids, but after this incident, to try to regain
Yeah.
custody.
Well, and Leilani wasn't in custody yet, so it was like, are we fighting for that? Because I remember it was really one of the first times we saw Leilani was walking out of that fucking courtroom, and it was like, I don't know about that. And don't forget the article where they were seen out drinking.
Tybee Island.
Yep. So we had a pretty long for day one, and we're kind of going to just jump through it, like not watch it, like just jump through what happened. We had very long opening statements. And then, Leilani's looking more like a 90-degree angle. I don't know what it is with her and Tisha. Like we're seeing a lot. I don't remember that. Was it Cher who pushed it? Because that would probably be accurate.
I do. I thought I remember that they were taking donations for maybe oh, okay. I think it was initially whenever the children were replaced with I want to say a family member as a foster. Like somebody trusted. And yes, Mo is right. They did take donations. Yep.
Wow.
But I felt like as we go through this, and I know we're really not going to focus on Sky and Zane, but um, I know that both of their biological fathers wanted custody of them, and even their parents, so the grandparents of those children. So
Right.
I hope, I know it's not our business. I hope it works out and they're in a healthy, safe environment because they definitely deserve all the love.
They deserve all the love. And if you remember, Quentin's biological father had gone through a lot. He had lost both of his parents right after
And his
this.
grandmother, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was really sad. Now if the registry was all baby stuff, not what are you gonna scam for baby stuff? But I could understand absolutely why it would put a bitter taste in people's mouth. I know. I totally understand that. So yesterday we had, like we said, we had pretty decent opening statements. We had a visual. We had Leilani constantly smug look, but constantly would pick up a tissue and wipe even when she didn't have tears in her eyes, in my opinion. I noticed she was doing that. I don't know if it's a tactic. There are moments where we can see emotion coming from her, but there are other moments where I look at her and I'm like, are you gonna crack? Because I'm cracking, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
But the one of the most shocking things, so we got a visual of what the boys' room looked like. Hi Lucia. And listen, you have Zane's bed in that back corner. That's the older boys. I think he was 3 at the time. That back car bed, okay? But for Quentin, you have this pack and play all the way in the corner. Quentin was way too. First of all, a pack and play is exactly what it's what the name of it is. It's a pack and play. It is not supposed to be a permanent sleeping situation. Okay. He was also way too big to be sleeping. I could understand like a newborn when you could put it all the way at the top, you could kind of like position the pack and plays, or even maybe one for a temporary thing. There's no reason why Quentin should have been sleeping in that pack and play every night.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like, so they converted like a family room into literally a family bedroom because they had Sky sleeping on, I don't know, a bassinet or the couch, because they said couch several times, but I saw like one of the baby bouncer swings next to it, which I'm sure you'll get to in a little bit, but it's eye-opening. And I know there hasn't been a chance to clarify this outside of some of the testimony, um, but it seemed like there was a room upstairs that wasn't being used. So it had bunk beds and a crib. And like Leilani mentioned, they were upstairs, but due to the stairs and the safety of the kids, they moved downstairs. So I'm unsure if they were in transition. It kind of even seemed like to investigators that there was some transition in that house. You know what I mean?
Right. And is it possible that they all kind of hung out in that room, given that there was so much tension an eviction process was happening. Like, well, who knows what was truly happening? All we know is that it was extremely turmoil. But going in chronological order.
Yeah, sorry.
No, not. I wasn't saying that to you. I was saying going in chronological order. This is the first photo that we had saw yesterday that I was like, oh my goodness. And you could see what appears to be some type of washed out reddish stain all here along the brim, and on this side right here. Now, when we were on Bendy's yesterday and we first saw this, we were like, I mean, is it possible it's food and who it doesn't look like they maybe we could rely on them sitting down at high chairs every time to eat. Maybe, who knows? But now with day 2, we also know there was that strong smell of vomit. Hey, Chris, I saw you in Law and Order's chat all morning. How are you? But it's weird when you're in a huge chat like that and you're like, hey, I know you. Like,
Well, and to be honest, like that doesn't look like Cheeto fingers to me. I know that we'll get to that later and that was mentioned, but I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't look like Cheeto fingers.
Hi, Jennifer. No, and it was very, very haunting. And we do know, jumping forward to today, it had a very, very strong scent of vomit. And what we did find out today was Leilani claimed, oh, I had given Quentin one of those little vanilla cakes, little vanilla cookies, like a Nilla wafer, and he had thrown up, and I wiped it, but I didn't get a chance to clean it. I don't believe that. And so my mind, ever since I've heard that, has been trying to figure out.
Vanilla wafer cookies. We'll get to the pictures later. Do not even match the color of that pillow. So that was like complete utter bullshit. Maybe tell me a strawberry wafer cookie, but not a vanilla. Maybe a red velvet.
Well, and she was referring to, she wasn't even referring to these, like it was the odor. And they asked about it, and that's what she said. And there she's like, I wiped it off the pillow, but I didn't get a chance to wash it yet. Listen, all I've been trying to figure out is she's admitting to vomit. She's admitting to vomit. What caused Quentin to vomit? And that's what I've just been racking my brain with, because I'm thinking worst case scenario in my mind, right? Because I know what the outcome, I know what the end of the story is. So trying to figure out the beginning and the middle, right? It's like, is it possible he woke up sick and that could have triggered what led Leilani to murdering him? Or is it possible the vomiting could have happened during the act? Like, it's so horrible to even think about.
So first day opening statements took about an hour and 45 minutes for prosecution, right? About, I don't know, let's say 3 minutes for the snarky defense. That's just my opinion. I didn't really like his way about it, but that was just me. And then we go into 5 law enforcement first responder detectives.
Yep. And so they did a very good job at putting out that timeline, giving us a visual, letting us know who the key players are. I appreciate that. I'm a visual type person, and I'm sure that helped the jury. But something they also put out was a couple of text messages. We got a little sneak peek at some text messages. One of the text messages was Leilani to Danny, okay? And the date of this message is July 1st. Now, they said, yes, it's July 1st. It's a couple of months before the murder, but it helps give you an idea of where things were at in that relationship leading up to it. And the text message shows, I want to feel beautiful, not barely average. I want to feel loved, not just liked. I want to feel wanted, not just tolerated. I want to be able to look at you and know it's just me and not wonder how many others there are. I want to feel like my body is worth showing off, not like it's just been trashed from having 3 kids. I want to feel the way you made me feel in the beginning, like I'm treasured and safe, not like I'm just here because you really don't have a choice. Shay, that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because we all as moms are going to have insecurities when it comes to our bodies after having babies. No shit, your body changes. But knowing what I know she did to that child, when I read that I want to feel like sexy, not trashed, my body's trashed from having kids, it just sheds more light and how, because at the end of it, it's beautiful, right? We would give up anything to have our children. And there's beauty in the faults. There's beauty in the not being perfect, the imperfections. And I don't know if Leilani ever associated anything good out of her children.
And I mean, just as a reminder, like she's had at this point 3 children by the age of 22.
Yep.
I remember when Quentin first went missing, and I put that in air quotes now because that, it is what it is. We know what happened. I think I was very like sentimental towards the fact that she was a very young mom, and like thinking that's a lot of hormones, a lot for your body to go through at such a young age, and like where you're like getting to like know yourself. But her behavior over time is just so telling, and you can't look away.
Right. 100%. And and like you said, I understand she had a childlike mentality. She was young. She had 3 kids, 3 under 3. She had Zane 3, Quentin middle child, Sky was a couple of months. It's a lot of work, even though Billy Joe was predominantly doing it. But even for your brain isn't even fully developed until you're about 25 years old. And now you have to understand that Zane was born exposed and admitted to the use of cocaine and marijuana. Okay, I'm not saying whatever about the marijuana, but put that to the side. Cocaine, hard cocaine. And that means all along, not just at the time he was born, throughout the pregnancy, we're talking about cocaine. And I'm going to believe the addiction started prior to the pregnancy. And cocaine is a hard drug to be addicted to. Not saying any drug is easy, but that's the rich man's drug. Okay. And it's a constant up. It's a high that you're constantly chasing. There's a lot of side effects from cocaine use. And so we're talking about years on an adolescent's mind who also struggles with bipolar disorder and anxiety. Can you only imagine all of these factors combined, then with the insecurity of your body, right? At 22 years old, after having 3 kids, it's not, these are all factors I take into play, like of what made her the way that she was at that time.
Yeah.
So the next text says, and this is August 6th, so we're jumping another month. Yeah. Go get yourself some ass. I know mine is good enough. Never was, never will be. Okay, Oh my God, remember that? That's an old web, Shay. That was the OG web that we pulled up back in the day.
Yeah. I said it to Allie earlier.
Oh my gosh. That's the OG web.
I know. I didn't know if you'd recognize it. I found that. And I was like, oh my gosh.
I had that as an overlay for so long. It just I cannot believe it's been 2 years. That just brought back so much memory seeing that. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have another month. Okay, so the first text is July. Second text is August. July, August. Now this message is September. So they're showing consistency, right? They're showing that this wasn't just a random, they got into a fight. No, they're showing that literally now we are the month prior to Quentin's murder. So the months leading up, they're painting a picture for us. So September 10th, less than a month before Quentin's murder, we have and she doesn't know how to spell your correctly, but you're the reason I'm angry. every day. You're the reason I'm depressed, why I feel the way I do about myself. I was so disappointed, peace, love, and pugs, when I found out that it wasn't tested. Also, even though, and Shay, I hear what you're saying as far as like the defense is being a dick. Yeah, but I'm happy at the same time because I like seeing both sides fight, because I don't like down the line what we're dealing with, like Wade Wilson, insufficient counsel, right? You didn't do anything. You didn't fight for me. No, he's fighting. I like that. And her other lawyer has a dapper bow tie. Did you see? Every day he has a dapper bow tie so far, and I love that. Not that
I
that
do
means
like
anything.
both sides too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that there's been some points where I'm like, prosecution, you should have gone back and like said this or went through procedure. Like, I mean, I see both sides of it. It was
Right.
the more the snarky comment of mine's not going to be that long. And it was like 2 minutes. Wham,
Yeah.
bam, thank you, ma'am.
Right. And
Okay, I see you.
he was being argumentative with the first witness, like he was answering for him essentially when he, and not everybody, it's nerve-wracking being up there, and so you got to give him a second to answer. But what I will say is when he was pointing out the gloves, and then I watched today and I watched a couple of them going in without gloves. Now, granted, they didn't know what they were looking at. We also have to remember that at that point, they are searching for a missing child, Yeah, but yes, it should, like, even though I didn't see her touch anything, I just saw her grab the flashlight and look in. But still, I understand making the argument of where are the gloves, where are the gloves? Yeah, the pack and play should have been sent as well. But yeah, they sent the pillow. Luckily.
So did FBI confirm that this afternoon? Because I didn't get to finish that part yet. I know
uh,
that the detective said that she handed those over to FBI, those
right.
items.
I believe so. Like, if I'm not mistaken, it was the pack and play itself that wasn't tested. The
Well,
PC affidavit.
I still don't like her Cheeto fingers thoughts. That just does
No,
not make sense on that color, but whatever.
no, right.
Maybe some
Um,
spicy Cheetos, but a 20-month-old isn't eating that.
right. No, no. Um, okay. Then we have this virtual suicide note. Okay. That I'm going to, because it's only a couple of minutes. So I'm going to let it play for you guys because there's a lot of things that are stated in this that really, really upset me.
Now, this is not I'll play this for you now.
You see his bow tie? Sorry. Look.
So with that preview,
Look at this dapper. Look at him. He looks like the grandpa from Up. He's adorable.
He said he had a headache the first day, so I give him that. Like, after I heard that, I was like, okay, dude, like, yeah, he was a lot better today, but he was just a little spicy coming out. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Alan, an Alan Jackson for Karen Reed. It was much
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to get as far as like prosecutors and defense attorneys. You kind of have to just wait and see. This judge, very, very nice. She's very, very sweet. But I don't know about anybody else, but they take so many breaks. Too many breaks, in my opinion. You have to have morning recess, lunch, afternoon recess. But it seems like there's more breaks than normal.
Well, because what happened today.
Mm-hmm.
We got a snoozer in the back.
Another snoozer. And did you hear the dick comment that I don't know if it was her defense attorney or who made a joke when the judge was like, do you want me to dim the lights? Like it'll help. And they're like, yeah, help another juror fall asleep or something like that. And I was like, oh, shots fired. And she's like, all right, we'll leave it at this level. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did. I was like, that's gotta be defense. Just because I could tell by the tone of voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is very, very soft, which is not a bad thing. Who knows? She may have some, she's holstering it, but it's just a lot of breaks. And I'm like, come on, let's get to it.
I think she's actually, I really like her as a judge because I think she's, being considerate of her courtroom. She's also, wants a fair trial and think appeals, and, she's the one managing it. And, I mean, I guess like if that's what she feels like she has to do to be able to keep people engaged on material that could be very dense, then hey, go about it the way you want.
Oh, well, can I just say, guys, Shay had to educate me today because I was like, what the fuck is up with this one like the court reporter, whoever she is, wearing like a Bane mask? I keep seeing this chick breathing into a mask, and Shay's like, that's the stenographer. They have a new and improved way for a stenographer to like take their notes. So she's whispering sweet nothing. She's whispering secrets into that mask all court day long.
Yeah, steno mask. It's different, right?
I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, it was. I told first one for me was Karen Reed. I was like, what the hell
Yeah.
is like? I thought the court reporter or stenographer or whatever for Karen Reed was like Darth Vader for the first week, and then
Mhm.
I finally caught Emily D. Baker explaining it. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's pretty smart.
Yeah. Because I thought I was going crazy every time I was like, oh, what's that? Like, what is she breathing in? What does she do? And then eventually I'm like, yo, this is really starting to bug me out. Like, and then Shay told me. So essentially her job is to talk shit into like a little fucking, that's an awesome job. Like she's whispering. See, I want to know what she's saying in there. Like she's all day long. She just has it to her mouth and she's just like talking in there and nobody else could hear her. Like who knows what she's saying in that mask? It's the craziest thing.
And I don't know about you, but I mean, just you could kind of see from this layout, but I also, so in comparison with another trial, I noticed, in my opinion, I thought that the court reporter was sitting a lot closer to the judge because she is putting everything on record there.
Yep. If I see it pop up, guys, I'll show you because every second I had to keep looking at it. Like every time it like panned around to her, and I'm like, what is she holding to? It's too stylish to be an oxygen mask. Like, I'm like, what is that? Like, finally, I messaged Allie and Jay. I was like, what the fuck is that lady holding to her mouth?
You're like, is the Batman sign out in the air?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's going
She's
on?
going all Bane on us. And then when Shay told me, I'm like, she's whispering sweet nothings into that mask all day long. She's just talking shit into that little cup. It's the craziest thing. Okay. All right. So
But
let's
you got to be on your game to like process all
yeah.
that, like hear and say it. So hats off to them. That's a
Well,
damn good job.
they have shorthand for stenographers. Do they have short word? Like, is she like speaking in code to that? Because she's not repeating everything everyone's saying.
I
How
mean,
they have shorthand. I don't know what's up.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like your Wade Wilson turkey thing that you yeah. I don't think it's anything like that, but it could be. You never know.
Remy said it looked like a male sports cup, and you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like every time it panned to it, I didn't know what it was, and I was so confused. Pausing, zooming. I'm like, what is that?
Why does this lady have a jock strap on her face?
Every time, it was the most peculiar thing. I'm thankful I know now. So thank you, Shay.
Mama tried. And Mama's not here no more because she doesn't love you. I do. I can't love myself. If I can't love myself, how can I love you? I've tried over and over and over and I failed. I screamed for help, and I don't get it. Sky, you are such a beautiful little girl.
Pay attention. And Sky, you're such a beautiful little girl, which she is. I'm not saying she isn't, but just pay attention to what Quentin gets.
I wish I could watch you grow up. I wish I could hold you for your first heartbreak because my mama didn't.
which again, she's not going in order from Sky. I don't know, like, does it sound weird that I would expect to go in order, like chronological order of the kids, like not to jump out of order? I don't know, maybe that's just me, because that was the first thing that I noticed, was she was going out of order. Because Quentin's last, even though he's the middle child.
Right. And I mean, if you've been following the case, like there's been no shying away from people that have known this family. I can't confirm this. We don't talk to, Leilani or any of them, but apparently Zane was her favorite, But
Mm-hmm.
I think she did have a good connection to Sky. But I think it's telling kind of as things go on, as we were kind of talking about before, like that attention for a man, like I don't know, after some of today's like interview, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about it later, but it was almost like, it's like, this guy's a daddy's girl. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, it almost
Sky
seemed
was
like
an
jealousy.
infant.
Yeah,
Sky
it seemed
was
like
an
jealousy.
infant at the time you were recording that, ma'am.
Yeah, but it's like she was jealous of these relationships that her children were developing with the men she cared about too. It was weird.
Yep. And she's driving while recording this, which putting everyone else in danger, Miss Ma'am, but okay.
It's a good man. I hope you grow up and you learn what loyalty is. And you learn how to treat a woman.
Now that is towards Danny, because let me guess, you didn't just store this in your phone, did you, Leilani? You most likely sent this to Danny, right? I hate these types of stunts. I really do. But that was a dig at Danny, right? You'll be a good man when you grow up, and you'll learn loyalty, and you'll learn how to treat a woman, unlike Danny, right?
Yep.
Loyalty is. And you learn how to treat a woman and how to love a woman. And Quentin, baby, you are the middle child.
You are the middle child.
Yeah, Allie was
Really?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, middle child.
Really? That's the first thing that comes to your mind there, Leilani? And Quentin, you are the middle child. What?
Like that's like what you're known for. That's it.
Right.
Like one and done. Like, yeah.
That's like,
Jeez.
Zane, you are 3. What? That's not, what does that mean? Like, that's not a good quality or anything like that. That's just the fact. It's so bizarre. It's like she struggled here.
Like, you can't change this. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You are the middle child. You're so happy all the time. You smile all the time. I wish I could see what kind of man you would be too.
See? Do you see how awkward that just was? I wish I could see what kind of man you'll be too. She's so confident in the man that Zane is going to grow up to be. She wishes she could be there for Sky, for her heart. Quentin, you're the middle child. And yeah, I wish I knew what you'd be like too, because you're not certain of the amazing man he's going to be, right? And then this virtual fucking suicide later even got awkward. That was what, writer's gap, because she didn't even know what to do. She looked and chuckled into the camera because she's like, what now? What? That was so uncomfortable and so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I admittedly, when I was watching this real time, I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I feel for somebody going through something, and we all have our, relationship experiences and our ups and downs, but like I was so into like the prosecution's opening statement and like where this was going, and I felt it, like it was just like, that's it, Quentin, that's you. And I'm just like cried even harder.
Yeah.
And Danny,
pause that.
Mhm.
What tear was she wiping?
None. I told you she'll just randomly wipe, but there's no tear. Today, I saw her because they actually were on before she wiped. I saw her reach for the tissue and there was nothing. She wiped, there was nothing.
That just infuriates
I
me.
know. I know.
And even now, after everything that I think has been brought to the light, hopefully it was everything, right?
See what she just said? So it tells you why she's doing this. And see, after everything has been brought to light, well, I hope it's everything. So what'd you find out? He cheated on you. He did what? Something happened, right? And so now you're making, and I know I could be, it sounds like I'm heartless, but I don't jive with this type of shit. I don't like this type of shit. It's extreme manipulation. I've been through it many times in my life. I don't like that type of shit. And that's all that this is. Always try, you'd rather believe someone than not believe them, take them at their word. But this is pure manipulation and I hate it. And it's clear that they just got into a fight. It's clear she just found something out, right? And so now I'm going to what? Go leave your children motherless, right? Go leave them motherless because of what? Some dude? I don't like that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that any,
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I guess we have a delay. I was going to
No,
say,
go
I just
ahead.
think that any parent would or should try to think of what they're leaving behind in their children first before a relationship. Like that's your blood,
Always.
And that's just
Always.
what's so disheartening. Like all of this is focused around Danny. And I'm not no shade to Danny. I don't know him, good or bad. I'm just saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
geez.
Yep. And I said yesterday, I understand and I've even advocated for you can't love someone before you love yourself.
Mhm.
But as a mom, no. You are capable of loving your kids even when you don't love yourself. I'm talking about you can't love another person in a relationship and things like that until you love yourself. Now that doesn't mean you're going
It's
to be the best,
unconditional.
right? That doesn't mean you're going to be the best you as a mom if you don't love yourself. But I took an issue with Leilani saying, how can I love you guys as my kids if I don't love me? You can. It's actually terrifying that you could love something more than you even love yourself. That's the whole part of being a parent.
And how many times, like, have you heard or maybe have felt like yourself that, like, when times are like down and out and you are at like the bottom, you are fighting to be the best version of yourself for your child.
Yep.
Nobody else but them.
Such an immature girl.
Mm-hmm.
It has been brought to the light, hopefully it was everything, right? Even now, you look at me with the same look in your eyes that you have when you talk about Caitlyn.
Caitlyn, I'm sorry. Is this all about another hoe in a different area code? Is that what we're crying about? Is that what we're driving into a river for?
I don't hear the love in your voice anymore. I don't feel the love in your touch anymore. And I definitely don't see the love in your eyes anymore.
Do you think those are all things that your kids are thinking? Mom, I don't feel the love in your touch anymore. Mom, I don't feel the love in your eyes anymore. Fuck, did they ever feel it? Did they ever see it? This is so sad. Don't ever put a man, a woman before your children. Don't do it.
This makes me sick.
You really loved me like you claimed you did. You wouldn't have done all that. Even when I was carrying your child and hating myself every fucking day, crying myself to sleep every fucking night because you did not want to have sex with me. You did not want to love me. You just did not want me. And I wanted you. I wanted you.
that is what pissed me off the absolute most, because she openly admitted, you took care of my kids, but you couldn't take care of me. I'm sorry, they're synonymous with one another. You taking care of my kid, you being there, you loving, you accepting my kid, that is taking care of me. That is what I could ask. Everything else comes second to that. Everything. But Leilani, that's an issue. You can't put my kids before me. You can't love my kids before me. Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, I'm crying.
It's
It,
aggravating.
it's aggravating to me on like so many levels because then I'm like listening to her and I'm thinking, oh, and I just I don't know. I mean, I was told I was never going to be able to have kids, and to have my daughter is the most amazing thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking like this is what you're doing, and I'm remarried, and having a man that like loves your child and treats them well, it's not their blood is a is
It's
a blessing. It's wonderful. Like love them for that. Like the love is should be separate. I don't understand the competition with Leilani.
it's terrifying, but exactly you said, especially when that man is loving and taking care of children that are not biologically his. Bless him. Bless him. That is taking care of you. Like, that's the most admirable thing. No treating any, either of the children differently, even with if one's biological. Like, that is the most you could ask for. Everything else comes second to that. I would think that that would be top priority, but to Leilani, it isn't.
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe Jennifer says, I took it a different way. I took it as, I'm offing myself and you couldn't take care of me, but now you better take good care of my kids, like after she's gone. Maybe. Yeah. Here, I'll jump back.
You take care of my kids, okay? You couldn't take care of me. You couldn't love me. You couldn't do me right. So please, for the love of fucking God, do my kids right.
Yeah. You're right. She probably is saying that. But the fact that she even knows he would, right? Not take care of Sky. No, take care of my kids, plural. If he wasn't
Here's
an active part of their life, she wouldn't have even included the boys.
yeah, but here's the deal. Zane had a great relationship with his dad. So
Yeah.
what makes her think that her non-biological kids, if say she went through with this, I mean, doesn't mean,
Because
maybe
she's the type that
like
once
I don't
she's
get her.
done with a guy, she doesn't want them in there. No, she wants Danny. So Danny's now dad.
But
That's the
that's
type
not
of
the way it
person,
would work. Like she's not logical. It would, oh gosh, it would be Zane's
right?
father, it'd be Baba,
Mm-hmm.
it would be Billy Joe. Like I don't understand this. Like it's a cry of attention. And I mean, it's heartbreaking to see because like I guess this is where I go like polar opposites where like take Leilani out of it. If I saw someone really hurting and the kids were involved, this is heartbreaking, right?
Yeah,
Somebody's hurting. But I just can't get over like her thought process. It's like, I'm just going to emotionally abuse you even more. I'm going to throw it in there. You can't take care of me. You better take care of them. But reality is just not clicking here.
right.
The kids running up at the river now, finally.
And then what happened when he got to the river? Just curious, Leilani. And when I say that, oh, I'm not saying, oh, I wish he did at something, but you know what? Part of me does, because Quentin would still be here, and I value Quentin's life over hers, because at least with her it was a choice. But that's what I
Melissa.
mean by, I'm sorry, I don't care. That's just the way it is. But what'd she do when she got to that river? There's no incident report that she went in, right? She parked, she took the recording, she sent it, and then her ass turned right back around. Probably stopped and got a fucking hoagie. Who fucking knows? I don't like this type of shit.
No,
It's
she went to the 204.
yeah. It's manipulation. I don't like that shit. Because if she was doing that to Danny, she's doing that to her kids too. Ugh,
Oh,
piss me off.
mhm.
Okay. So, earlier in the day, we know that Leilani and Danny, and this is the day of into the evening, but that earlier in that day, she left work. Her and Danny left work. She had to get her tooth pulled. I'm curious what medications were prescribed, if any. You could tell that this is a wisdom tooth, but you could tell it was either impacted or infected. There is swelling going on. Most likely that's probably gauze tube being packed in there. But it is a factor in everything that took place leading up to the murder. Yeah, I'm sure, Tess. So let's see. Okay, this is the evening of the murder, leading up into the evening of the murder. And we have a text from Leilani to Danny, who's already in bed. She leaves her kids, and she's got to run to 204, I guess. 204 is her drug dealer's house.
Or red.
Mm-hmm.
But not to buy anything, to pay off a debt.
Right. So we have Danny, who sends a text to the babysitter, 5:20 a.m. Hey, the kids are going to stay here with her today, Miss Michelle. Michelle says, okay. Now, the reason is that Danny said he could not wake Leilani up, which we now know she had murdered Quentin around 1 a.m. Her phone was inactive until the morning. So it appears like she really did just go back to sleep and pass out. Now, we still don't know the details of what exactly, or their theory of how exactly it played out. But we know that she was doing cocaine. We know that she was smoking blunts and cigarettes, all while she had just got her tooth extracted, which is everything that it advises you not to do when you leave the dentist's office. But she did all those. Was she just that passed out where he couldn't wake her up, or was she portraying herself to be that passed out in hopes that Danny would realize Quentin was missing and it wouldn't have to be her? But I think because the phone being inactive, she really was passed out.
I believe that as well. And also just based on the ring activity that we got to kind of see a snapshot of on the first day. But I thought it was really telling because I was really curious how like Danny kind of fit into all this, because we were, told that he saw Quentin when he left, but prosecution lays out in their opening statement that it was early. He didn't check on the kids, like 6 a.m. He left to go. They worked the same shift at maybe like a shipping freight type company. I guess her brother worked a later PM shift. They worked an early morning shift together. And um, I guess I kind of understand Danny's thought process, is the way the prosecution was alluding to, is like, well, she's not going to get up to come to work to make money. We're not paying for a babysitter. She can take care of the kids.
But that's the whole thing. That's why we're going to have to get into some detail with Billy Joe on this stand, because as far as we understood, the babysitter will have those kids paid or not, because Leilani cannot be left with them.
Yeah.
There's
a big miss there.
Yep.
And I think that's why Billy Joe so desperately, I don't know. I'll shut up.
No, you're fine.
I know she's hurting in her way, and I feel for that, but I guess there's just
culpability, and I feel the same way with Al Stout, that you're not accountable. It's horrible. It's horrific. The only person accountable is the people who did this. But is there a level of culpability? Yeah. And it's got to be insane to live with that.
Right.
It's
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No. Because I think we could all agree, I don't believe any of them thought this was going to happen, right? But that's why we just have to be aware,
Yeah, I think the one person that probably had, I'm not going to say least bias, but an outside looking in perspective view per se was going to be Diana, the babysitter, and her family, because I think that even when Billy Joe wanted to do right by the grandbabies, this is still her daughter. She's wanting her to do her best. She's not
Right.
gonna see, she's not looking at it as like my child is gonna do this. No, I'm sure we're all aware she already has a child that is in prison for murder, Leilani's brother, which that's not getting brought up in this trial, to my understanding. That's going to be left out. But it's sad, she's got, one kid in there currently serving a sentence for murder and a second on trial.
Yeah. You want to explain the video we're about to watch?
Yeah, so okay. So Danny gets to work. He clocks in. Around 9 o'clock, he gets a phone call from Leilani saying she can't find Quentin. This video right here is showing at his workplace. To me, it looks like a warehouse front, and it's going to show Danny darting, like hauling ass, running across the screen. The prosecutor is going to mention that there are coworkers that attest to Danny's raw reaction in the moment, like fright, panic, tears, like he cares. So I think that I just don't think this is faked. Like, to me,
No.
this is why I'm like, please don't put this shit on Danny. Like, I really genuinely think he's shocked. So he's running home to Leilani, and yeah, we'll find
And
out a
that's
little
not
bit
his
later.
biological child either, so he is concerned.
Absolutely, hauling ass.
Having gotten this call. And this video shows him running out.
Look at
That's
him
Danny
running.
running out of work. You'll hear from his boss, a fellow named David Mullins, that David ran into Danny in the parking lot. Danny's running out, Dave's just pulling in and getting to work. And they briefly encounter one another. And Dave will tell you, he looked genuinely upset. He was for real crying, tears coming down his face. Danny does not know what is going on. He knows what he's hearing from the defendant, and that's it.
Now they're reiterating that, like Shay said in the beginning, because defense is trying to open that door to reasonable doubt through Danny.
And to be fair, a lot of us, if this was developing in real time, we all had questions about like what happened with Danny. Like, how did he see Quentin? Did he not see Quentin? Like, when did he really find out? There was so much unknown. And I just thought the opening timeline really kind of opened my eyes. Of course, there's going to be room to poke holes, I'm sure, from the prosecution, but other witnesses is a good thing too.
Mm-hmm. Now we know. Sorry, I'm trying to.
And like, I don't know. I'm sorry, we're gonna get to the ring stuff and the door, but it was like
Yeah.
the dumbest thing. So like he's about to show it like as Danny. So Danny stays, he's on the phone with Leilani, running out, gets in the car, drives the 20-30 minutes all the way home. And as he's talking to her the whole time on the phone in real time, as he's on the phone with her, the ring motion, activators is showing the front door open for the first time. That door was not left open.
No, it's
Back
not.
door was not left open. So it's like all this technology. It's like, you dumbass, Leilani. Like, you dumbass. You can't, like, not this should ever been done, but you can't even cover your damn tracks, because then you hand over your Life 360 and everything else. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, I mean, he genuinely is concerned. He reaches out to Diana, the babysitter, and then she goes over and he meets her there, and they're looking for Quentin. And I kind of just felt like from first interviews a few years ago, like there was an interpretation Diana had, and it kind of makes a little bit more sense that I want to know what Danny's thinking. I can't wait till he comes up as a witness because
I
I
know.
want to know at what point did it click to him? Should she have done so?
Yep.
Because I've got two healthy other children right here. Where is Quentin?
Right. And she would have been acting very unstable. He would have known about the drug usage. He would know. You would know. And I agree, Dietz. I think the phone calls are going to be what clears Danny the same way the pretext calls with Al and Letitia really gave us. Because, again, she put Danny before her kids. So she would have been giving him a lot of information without even knowing, without even intentionally giving a lot of information.
Yeah, and so she only calls Danny because not until he gets there in a panic, Diana is there to help talk them through it. Does he pick up the phone? He calls 911 at 9:38 a.m. And then Leilani's in the background, which I'm sure you're gonna play that. But
Yep, we'll play it right now.
there were observers from that day. I know the investigators are going to say stuff, but I remember in real time as we were getting information back then, the people just said that like Leilani was just outside smoking cigarettes. Like not really looking, just smoking, kind of like it was just weird, like a very weird temperament. And I want to see more body cam.
Me too.
Story before the police ever become involved. Danny gets home. Somehow, babysitter Michelle got wind that this was going on. Maybe she heard screaming or something. She'll tell you how she heard about this when she testifies. She comes over. Paul hears yelling, comes downstairs, and now everybody's there and they're looking for Quentin. And the defendant, of course, is the only person who knows where he actually is, and that's in a dumpster at Azalea Level Home Plaza. And they call 911, and here's what the defendant says. Police show up a little before 10.
Yeah.
I think he only plays a portion of that call.
Yep. Because my husband?
Look at Danny. He looks frozen.
Yep.
Like he's wearing his work safety vest. Like he just looks
Mhm.
like what the hell is going on?
He
And is she
knows
tweaking out?
something's, yeah, he knows something's up.
Mhm.
Now, this is all in other people. Chatham County Police Department.
Then we know that she had been giving the Oragel stories. Oh, you know, like, yeah, I had to go out and go get some Oragel. Well, we saw today. I forgot what the name of the other soothing gel.
I got it.
But
the one that was
it
actually on her bathroom counter.
Yeah.
It was, hold on, I saved a picture for us. It's Anbesol.
Ambisol. So she didn't even
Anbesol.
Thank you, Pete Crumbs. Yeah. So as if we believe the Oragel story anyway, but she had it right there.
Yeah. Freaking dumbass. Sorry.
Which lasts for about a week or so. Maybe a week and a half.
Did y'all go anywhere last night or yesterday with baby? That maybe he could have followed you or something? Y'all didn't go anywhere?
Look how little Sky is on her she is little.
No, just maybe you yourself.
Yeah, I'm not. I couldn't go. Too full yesterday, so I went to go to the water jail. That was it.
2 o'clock yesterday afternoon?
No, like morning at Rice, and I couldn't go to sleep.
Okay, so where'd you go?
Right up the road, right here, got Chevron. And my friend I used to work with, she got a water jail because they didn't have any, so okay, I'm home.
Okay. Did you go anywhere else? Have you made an event home? So when did you get home?
I can tell
Look at Danny, because he knows. No. You went up to the drug dealers at like 10:30. I got the text. Like, where'd you go at 2 a.m.? You know, like
Well,
you could
MJ,
see it.
remember, this isn't her first initial statement. And he was
Mhm.
standing by her in the initial one. So this story is developing. The officer is talking to her right now is after they've already run her plate, which I know we're about to get through.
Yep.
So, like, this is a fast forward moment. This isn't even the initial statement. I bet Danny is over here going, "What the fuck?"
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the story.
So her story was constantly changing. We know, I think she has 12 false statements,
No.
12 charges of false statements to police.
No, she's got
14.
14. She's got 1 count of malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, 1 count of concealing the death of another, 1 count of false report of a crime, 14 making a false statement, and then like later on they'll kind of explain it in court. But basically, that whenever you are reporting a missing child in the state of Georgia, that at that point, any statements that you are making to law enforcement, that exchange of information kind of it's on the record, you know. I mean, I don't even
Right.
know what to say it. Like you are at that point deterring the investigation of finding the life of another, you know.
Yep.
So
So,
14,
mm-hmm.
and they all start right whenever law enforcement gets there. The counter, like we should get like a ticker.
A ticker.
And it's
Um,
like she's a little mini version of Letitia, you know,
a little mini version.
a very mini version.
So they showed this text message from Leilani to Danny. We don't have the date on it, but it says,
I will be honest with you, Melissa. When I saw this, I threw my phone. I was pissed. I really was, because I was like, here we go. I also think we need a ticker for how many people that Leilani is going to blame shift and put as a potential person that could take Quentin or harm Quentin. Like
mhm.
here's the bus, Danny. I'm gonna push you right in front of it and roll you right the fuck over.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
So this says, I'm not lying for Danny anymore. The reason I told my story about Oragel and shit didn't make sense was because Danny told me to say that he was the one who left, and my phone was in the car from my previous trip, and his was on the charger. I was already smoking a blunt on the porch, and when I got done, Danny was already laying in bed. All the lights were off, and I glanced at the kids as I was getting in the bed to go to sleep. That is why he took off. I'm innocent of this. He was the last one to see Quentin. He was that texted the babysitter, and he was the that wasn't in bed when I woke for just a moment and it was still dark. And he was the one who was the only set of keys to my car the morning of my son's disappearance. This
Bitch.
listen, it's one thing to do something like what she's done. But people like Leilani and Letitia, when you blame innocent people knowing you're guilty, is this because Danny was no longer standing by you? Is that why you turn on him and you're willing to let him go down for the murder of your son?
Mhm. I cannot believe it. Like I just. Mm. So the man that you're like, take care of my kids. I love you. Blah, blah.
Yep.
But the initial one, I mean, I know we'll go through those, but like the initial one is gonna throw Bubba, Quentin's dad.
So messed up. So I'm looking for.
Are you looking for like when the story starts to change?
No, I know in the story, like, because I want to just be able to talk about. All right, here, let's do this one. So as you can, I think that was Diane. No,
Oh,
Michelle.
I know we probably weren't gonna go over this because just sensitivity matters, but you know, when they did do, I was gonna say this, I'm sure you noted it as well, but whenever the prosecution's opening statements and they were showing um what remained of Quentin, like
Yeah, I was gonna talk
was
about it.
okay, I'll just shut up.
No,
I
go
just
ahead, say
it
it.
was just like looking at like Leilani had no emotion and
Yeah,
I wanted to throw the fucking oven at her or my car or something. Like I was just like, I hate you. Like how could you if that was left on my baby, oh,
I
she's
know.
heartless. She's heartless.
She's absolutely heartless because that's what I wanted to get into after this clip is to get into his remains and then what some of the photos today showed because I want to jump into
Yeah.
that. And then I
Okay,
know
sorry.
Allie's gonna discuss. No, stop apologizing.
I know. I just get like I am so ADHD that like I get excited. I just want to say it all because my
I
mind's
know,
flowing. But
I know.
I just am in shock because I didn't really know how Leilani would react. Remember, we were talking about this like
Yep.
before the trial. I was like, I really hope we get to see it in person because I want to see how she reacts. Because the only few times like I've ever like seen her have been on where she was on other like YouTube streamers lives, and then that one interview that she did with her mom, and it was cold.
Yep. She was cold as right. Um through okay.
What?
No name change. She was I don't think she was charged with abuse of a corpse. I'd have to
Uh,
pull it all up. I remember it's
she
so many
has
false
kids.
statements, malice, murder. Go ahead.
Yeah, 1 count of malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, 1 count of concealing the death of another, 1 count of false report of a crime, and 14 making a false statement. I don't think they have abuse of corpse because, in my opinion, and they kind of stated that they're not really going to be able to tell you the how. They just
Mhm.
have enough evidence to show circumstantially that she is the prime suspect, which they had been saying since what the first week.
Yep. That's correct.
In 2 seconds, and I will note for the record when I stop the playback.
What was your son was wearing?
He was wearing Sesame Street, like the dollar shirt, I'm running black shorts, red black jeans shorts.
What's your son wearing?
All right.
Oh, she's mm, 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 mm.
I
When
like the gentleman that is near the end that was with law enforcement for a very long time.
yeah,
So yeah, she's the one that runs the license plate. So she's the lady that states, where the cars are going. But the lieutenant, yeah, I think he's more refined. I liked the first witness, Lieutenant Stewart. I thought he was, or sorry, yeah, Sergeant Stewart. I thought he was really a sweet guy, but um, maybe because it was the first witness, they hadn't really like gotten their, groove going in court yet. So the flow was kind of off. But yeah, by the last witness, I thought that you know, he really started poking the holes. Oh my God, not that picture.
Well, I was going to show the picture, but because this is the truth, unless you don't want me to.
No,
But
you
it's
can.
heartbreaking. But here we are because we've been covering this from the beginning, and this is what she did. This is what she did. And
Yes,
so
Caleb. Oh, sorry. Caleb was
no,
asking if that was
I was
Diana that
looking.
was by the truck. And yeah, that was
Yes,
Diana
yes.
and her daughter.
He was there before the cops even arrived.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that opening statements ended, and I waited to jump to this before I jumped to the second day because I know they showed photos today. And so I wanted to, I don't know, just wait for this. So we know that there were only partial human remains that were found. Trigger warning, you know, like for anybody who doesn't want to see it, who maybe wasn't there. It's not gory or anything, but it's horrific. And I don't know what I was expecting. We didn't really know specifically what they were able to recover. But we found out yesterday during opening statements, and it's the way that opening statements came to a close as far as the search efforts, the process of what happens in these landfills and what Quentin's body had gone through as far as the way that Leilani disposed of him. And so they ended up, and this is very, very powerful, and I'm happy that they included this in opening statements because they do not always do that. But I think that he specifically made this choice so that everything that comes after this, the jurors will be stuck in their mind. Okay.
And I do think that they're very good at being careful to not say his body, because the reality is there wasn't a body.
Yes. It was just partial remains.
They finally find what they're looking for. November 18th. It's a memorable day for the people who are involved in this landfill search because they find Quentin.
I'm watching Leilani. Because she knows what's coming, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see that reaction.
And he's not in good shape. Okay, they find him in pieces. Mostly bones, a foot. It's not as though he's in one place on that search deck.
So I'll never forget the day that he was found. And the affidavit details it so horrifically. He was not recovered in one place. Let that sink in. Like, he was not recovered in one place. He was recovered scattered. Fragments.
Do you want me to grab that?
Yeah, because it literally said pieces of tissue here, pieces of bone there. Like, he was scattered across. And this is part of like what they felt like. They were searching so tirelessly out there. They really were. Only to find him in it's by the grace of God, Harlot. Similar to Gannon. I feel so much similarities between Quentin and Gannon's case. But by the grace of God. And the frustrating part is Quentin's truth is never going to fully be known. They can't even tell you what exactly happened. But for that portion, like, it was extremely impactful. He was so tiny.
They're finding bones in different lines, spread out. He's torn apart.
That's your baby.
They send Quentin's remains up to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia.
Come on. Where's all the tears flying down your face? Because it was flying down mine. Where, what, how isn't she bawling?
Right? I know I've been.
Their DNA analysis is done, and they confirm.
Nothing. Keep blinking, Leilani. Try to squeeze a tear out, will you? When your child's partial remains, you could literally see which part of that. Like I just don't get it.
Everybody already knew is that this is Quentin.
That is Quentin, and that was so impactful. That was so impactful the way he said that. This is Quentin. That's the truth. That is this beautiful little boy. That's what remains of him.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump because I just want to be able to touch upon a couple of things before Allie's live. And we got some more images today of the playpen. Now here is, and I want to talk to you about this, Shay, because and that's what I was thinking, right? She cried more with her damn video to Danny, hysterical about Caitlyn. But what about it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But then we heard her scream on her audio all day today. You know, I would never put a man before my kids. I would not. Yeah. You put yourself before everyone. But what I wanted to talk to you about was all the kids should have been asleep. Now, something we've heard Leilani explain is it took 40 minutes for Quentin to usually babble, cry, roll around before he would fall asleep. I think she put him in sorry, I was messaging back.
It's okay.
She left Quentin to literally pass out on his own every single night. Like, I don't want to do the work, right? I don't want to put you in this playpen that you're way too big for. And you could scream and cry until you pass out. But it appeared like everyone is asleep. And I can't for the life of me figure out what caused this night. Did Quentin wake up? Did he wake up from you going in and out? Like, their room is right there. And did him simply waking up trigger this reaction from you? Or was he sleeping and she went over to him? What do you think, Shay?
I still can't, I mean, I stand more on the side of, I think that, you know, as we find out, she goes out to score some, and I think she gets messed up. I think he wakes up, and as she goes through the first round of interviews that we've seen, she mentions the 45 minutes that it takes for him to babble and fall asleep. And that seems to kind of like hold in her mind, like in a way that like it's almost like I felt like I don't know. I guess I'm imagining like she's reliving that, you know. And she wanted to have her fun. She wanted to do her thing. He wakes up. His bed's right by that door.
I hear you.
And she just doesn't want to deal with it. And she even uh, allegedly, as this goes on, like when Danny's working with law enforcement, he's talking to her and she says that I'm sorry, I won't ever do you know, coca again. You know, it makes me angry. And so that right there is indicative, because that's what we find out later that allegedly she was on. And so kind of makes sense. Like, it doesn't bring out the best in her. I don't really think it brings out the best in anybody, but that's just my opinion on it. I just don't think she wanted to deal with motherhood at the moment.
But you know, it just breaks, like, everything breaks my heart. But I don't know how familiar you guys are, because maybe it's been a while, but there's a sound that a pack and play makes when you hear the baby stand up in it. It makes like a great, you know what I mean? Like you hear when they get up, and the way that they stand holding, because he would have been big enough, you know, like to stand up and look over, and I just keep imagining him doing that in the sound of the creaks, yet I could never imagine feeling anger. It's usually getting upset that, yeah, they woke you up, but they're usually cracking up and laughing. Meanwhile, it's like 2 2 a.m., but you can't get upset because gosh darn, they look so adorable, you know, like the way that they just create, like, I don't know, the pack and play makes a special squeak, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. And they
Yeah,
hold their
it's
little
got that
handles over
like
the edge.
plastic, like like crinkle
Yes.
kind of. But I mean, they all are sleeping in the same room as you'll go through the pictures. So
Yeah.
maybe it's like, don't wake up everybody. I'm over here having my fun, and I don't want Danny to know I'm all effed up. We got to work early in the morning, so I have no idea. I mean, I guess I don't even understand how it could ever come to that point. Um, we've heard other theories that people have had, so I am kind of curious what we'll find out later.
Right. And so we see some photos taken at the layout of the house. There's the bed over there. This is Zane's bed, but again, here it comes my confusion of what happened. We don't know, but how did it happen without anyone waking up hearing it? Now we don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe Danny's gonna get on that stand and say that he heard something. Who knows? But I'm horrified, like, so here we see all of those washed out orangish, reddish, it looks like spaghetti sauce, honestly, like once you try to wash it out as like that orangey oil.
Mhm.
But look at that. That is blood.
Well, vomit, there's definitely, so it's not uncommon in blunt force trauma that there's nausea and vomiting.
Yeah.
Not saying that's always an indicator, but it's definitely something that does happen. So so I sent you like, or I think you have the full live, but I sent you the clip where the detective saying, like, you walk into that first room and it just, I guess the way she's explaining it sounds like it's like a rush of vomit smell, like
You saw it right
instantly.
in her face instantly as soon as she walked through, and that door's been open. She looked back at him and was like, that smell, like what? It smells like vomit.
Yeah. And at this point we've had, within these like few hours of law enforcement here, like Leilani's story changing to where, she went out at 10 and then later her license plate gets run. So then she's got to say, oh yeah, I went out to get Oragel. And then she brings in her somebody named Misty that she hasn't talked to and like, that she worked with like a year ago, just weird stuff is going on here. And all in all, this is happening. So I guess I, I'm wondering, like, when Danny woke up, did he not like smell that, or was it just
Or
off?
was it
Because
common? Was it
was it
common for it to reach?
yeah, because it looked pretty filthy in there, in my opinion. I mean, I've had kids, I know it's hard to keep clean, but I feel like it just looked really gross.
Yes,
But
glitter. Shay saw that too. So they said that they laid him down with his Mickey stuffy, but when you go through the photos, the Mickey is in the garage on the floor. Yes.
yeah, and so when she's like going through the interview, she's over here saying that this on the pillow is from vanilla wafers
Cookie.
that he threw up from Monday. Like, so
A cookie Monday. Yeah.
yeah, so not the night, not last night, but the night before, and she never changed the pillowcase. It doesn't look like this, but admittedly, the forensics investigator did say that this color red right here is a lot brighter than when in person. We also heard that from other detectives, so that could be just the great lighting of the lens or the screen. And also, it looked really dark in there too, with the way they
Right.
had it. But ultimately, I felt like from when we heard from the first day of law enforcement, 5 that were interviewed, they kind of were like, we're on the path of a missing child. It just seemed like nothing was really out of sorts. They said that the doors didn't feel that they were tampered with. They were heavy. They were hard to open. It's not something easy that a 20-month-old would be able to get out. They're not like, I felt like running to this thought process that something nefarious happened. Now we come to day 2 and we're bringing in forensics and like detectives, and they're instantaneously, like they're inside, they're taking the pictures and they see something a lot more nefarious.
Yep. Hi, Papa Jonesin. Um,
I will be
even
right back. Sorry.
sure, no, you're fine. Even the layout of the playpen, you guys, this is where he was almost 2. This is what he was. I'm sure if he laid head to toe, if he was not bigger, he would have been pushing at that net. This is, do you know how hard a pack and play is? It's for babies because their bones aren't solid yet. They're still flexible. So the hardness doesn't affect them the same. Quentin was way too big. And that's the original pad that comes down with it. Like, and when I say pad, you guys know I'm saying pad generously, because like it's a mat. It's like a yoga mat. Like it's just a hard just with a pillow like that. The pillow takes up half the fucking playpen. So this is what happened? Way too small for him, pointer lover, and filthy. You're right. Filthy. Not a sheet. Like, what was he sleeping with? Hey, Hope. Look at that. Yeah, Jennifer. So where was Sky sleeping? Because this is where Danny and Leilani were. We see a little, I think, bassinet right there. Yes, that swing. That's most likely where she was sleeping. Okay, we see a little rocker there. And I know Allie's about to go live in a few minutes, guys, and she's going to focus on today, like day 2. I didn't do yesterday, so that's why we're kind of doing it all, but she's going to get much more into day 2. So don't worry, anything we don't touch, she'll go over. So we're supposed to believe that front door was just open all night, right?
Melissa, I am gonna have to jump down. My doggy is not doing well. We don't think he's gonna make it, so I need to go.
Jade, go ahead, go. I love you.
Yeah.
Let me know what
Love you
happens.
too.
Okay.
I will.
Everyone said, well, if you don't pray, just send good vibes, please. That's difficult. Yep, Heather. Yep. So this is Zane's bed, which, okay, I guess for a 3-year-old, depending on how big. But still, Quentin should have been in that bed. Zane should have been having his big boy bed. And Sky should have been in the playpen raised up. The playpen has an option where it's raised up for newborns. Like, what? Thank you for the well wishes for Shay. Shay's gonna be doing. I'm probably gonna be doing every other day Quentin recaps. But Shay's gonna be covering this with me for every Quentin live. So we'll get our fix of Shay. Right, with an unused. Make that make sense, Natasha. I have so many questions though. Exactly, Remy. Exactly. What did she do? Look at that bathtub. Yeah, Jennifer, I'm not even judging that. You know, like if, hey, you know what? For a very, very tiny little baby, you know, like if the swing or no problem. When they can't really move and you have them swaddled, okay. But it would make the most sense moving on up, right? Like just do the switcheroo. They were all so close. It makes the most sense. Then there's the Anbesol. There's the Anbesol. But tell us more how you need some damn Oragel. I just want to know, did Quentin wake up? Or did she just go over to him? It was point all over. It was. Yeah, you're right. I know. Look, that high chair, which it does not appear like it's used. I mean, maybe they fold it up after every use. They just don't take me. Well, no, Remy, she said I needed to go get Oragel. Meanwhile, there was the Anbesol sitting there the whole time. So no, you didn't need to go out for Oragel at 1 a.m. Yep. Yeah, Remy, I remember the Zillow pics. The rest of the house isn't as disorganized as Leilani and the boys' area, which I'll be honest, it's a nice big room. You can make a lot out of it. You really can. Deet says she talked a lot about the noises he made today. I wonder if those noises annoyed her. And that's what I'm saying. Right. And like that's why Deet's like it the thought of the sound of Quentin maybe waking up and the shake, the squeak that the playpen makes and seeing his little hands like over the edge, lifting up, but it would have angered her. The way that she said it took him 45 minutes of, I'm not going to judge parenting styles. I couldn't let a kid just cry themselves and babble themselves to sleep. Well, babble is different, but cry themselves to sleep, because I'm sure she's minimizing maybe how bad it was. But if she was coked up, right? Smoking blunts, hitting lines, sniffing. No, you don't hit a line. Sniffing lines, hitting blunts. And we're talking about years, this cocaine addiction. She never not was on cocaine. Do you know what that does to you? Like, it's a harsh drug. Right. She said a lot. And I know Allie's about to start her live and she's specifically going over today. So I'll stop there because I want to be over there for her. But I'm sure Allie's about to get into, we saw a lot of footage today. A good portion of today's trial consisted of these interviews with Leilani. And Leilani shared a lot. She has and one of the major things I want you guys to keep an ear out for is past tense. Leilani had a few slips by saying he was and things like that. We saw that with Letitia in the Spencer Wilson interview. We see it a lot, right? You are admitting he's no longer here by saying he was. So I want you guys to keep an eye out or an ear out for that. I want you to keep an ear out for her repeatedly focusing on Danny. Her also reiterating Danny would never hurt them. Danny, I never saw that. I would never allow that. Yet how quickly her tune changes. Okay. So I will probably be on to do Quentin again Thursday. Like I said, I'm probably going to do every other day. I know me, Allie, and Shay are going to do some together. Maybe deets if she's around. So let's go Jade Raid over to Allie's. I appreciate all of you guys being here. I am very eager to see what tomorrow brings. I cannot wait for Danny and Billy Joe to get up on that stand and the babysitter. So thank you all so much for being here. Prayers for Shay's dog, and it's finally time to get justice for Quentin. So I will see you guys over there.